So last month in the Permission Slip Collective membership, we did a 30-day Sober Curious challenge. Now, this was not about just not drinking. It was just about getting curious how alcohol affects you in all areas of your life. Not just the dreaded hangover or eating crappy food that you don't want to, but how it affects your motivation, your creativity, your connection to source, your relationships, and more. A couple of the comments that the women said was, everything just becomes more beautiful when I'm clear. The moment I choose to get clear, I can hear the birds singing loudly for me. I wonder how much we miss because we are in this mode of drinking alcohol instead. So that's what this episode is about. It's a behind the scenes of all of our meetings, and I know you're going to have so many takeaways from this one.
Welcome to the Permission Slip podcast, where I, empowerment coach, mindset expert, and holistic nutritionist Carmen Oling, share with you the tools, conversations, and resources you need to write your own permission slip, take massive action, and become obsessed with your own life. Let's get started.
This month is not about being perfect. It's not about either I'm drinking or I'm not drinking. Either I'm saying I'm going to be sober forever or I'm not saying I'm going to be sober forever. So I did that for years and years, and it was like on or off, right? Either I'm drinking or not drinking. We do this with so many things in our life. Either I'm exercising or I'm not exercising. Either I'm eating healthy or I'm not eating healthy. Either I'm meditating and journaling every day or I'm not doing it. And this is all about getting curious, like feeling so cracked wide open to get curious about how alcohol affects you in all aspects of your life. Because oftentimes we only think about like the day after, right? The dreaded hangover and how that affects us. Or maybe if we said or did something that we didn't really feel proud of. Or maybe we all know when we've drank too much and we eat the shitty fried food that we told ourselves that we weren't really going to eat. And then we're like, dang it, why did I do that? Right? So it affects us in that way, but it also affects our mental health. So if you feel anxiety at all, I want you to start noticing that if your anxiety is less, because alcohol is proven to show that when you drink alcohol, it builds anxiety. So not a lot of people think of that. How does it affect your relationships? Have you ever been in an argument when you were drinking? How does it affect your business? How does it affect your career? So it affects so much more than just the main things that we actually think about.
I think that's it. Gratitude. Gratitude.
Mm-hmm. I love what you just said. I know one of the other amazing women in our community always tells me that when she's clear and aligned, that she can hear the music. And when things have gone wrong, she can't hear the music. And so I think that just goes to show when you are clear, and alcohol does like make it foggy for us, that we can hear the music or hear the birds or really experience life to the fullest for sure. Now, something I experienced, because I've been sober curious for a long time, like in 2019, I didn't drink from March to January 2020. And I've gone through long parts where I didn't drink. But one of the last times that I drank, I actually noticed when I woke up, I was instantly self-critical. So usually in the morning, I can have like a gratitude mindset. I'm excited for the day. I'm motivated. I'm feeling inspired. And I was very self-critical of my actions the night before, or even of my body, that I had worked really hard not to be like super self-critical of myself. So I think that I have like an encyclopedia of alcohol stories I could share. So I was like, which one are we going to pick? That's how much it goes. I think I drank first when I was like 13. And I'm not sure how old everybody is, but I kind of grew up in like it's okay to drink with your parents when you're at home, when you're a minor kind of era. I don't know if anybody else was with me, as long as you were like with them and it was safe and it was okay. Like when you're in high school and stuff. So back in 2019, I always surprised Joel, so my husband, for his birthday. And I surprised him and we went to Vegas and we were living it up in Vegas, right? So we had some drinks and, like I was slowly starting to decline on feeling well. And so we're flying home and our flight is delayed. Our flight is delayed so much that at this time I wasn't super great with my calendar. It was delayed so much that we got home at like 3 a.m. and I had to get up at 7 a.m. or 6 a.m. the next day because someone was coming over to do my makeup because I was going to be on TV for the first time in Colorado. So I was so excited for this opportunity. Let me tell you, I was so excited. And so I was so thankful that Jessica was there because when I woke up, I felt like a fucking balloon. I looked so swollen. I weighed myself and I was like, whoa, like I can't even imagine, like, what is this like scale telling me right now? I dressed all in black boots, black tights, a full black sweater, even like up to my neck. I'm gonna post the video in the Facebook group so you guys can watch it. So I get on there and my makeup's looking pretty good. So I'm feeling okay, but I still feel like shit, lacking sleep. And we had been drinking too much, not necessarily that day, but previous days. So I get on there and I'm so excited. And she goes, now, Carmen, tell us what your third pillar to optimal health is. And I go, yeah, Claudia, it's so funny when you forget your own pillars or some bullshit like that, because I couldn't even remember what I was saying. And she hands me this like card and like points to it. And I'm like, oh yeah, slow the fuck down, or whatever it was, whatever I was talking about that day. And believe me, like I was so hard on myself that day. I was like, you know what? I think I'm just going to not drink for a while. Like the day after, I think I lost like 8 pounds. My body was so inflamed from all the drinking and like the staying up late and losing sleep. And so not only did it affect my performance on TV, so I was like, they're never going to ask me back. I'm so grateful that they did and they had me back multiple times, but it affected my business. It affected my self-worth. Because, oh my gosh, how much I beat up on myself for that for a really long time. I would think about that. Affects my relationships with Joel. So for that year, I was really strong and I was like, I'm just not going to do it. I'm just going to see how it goes. But I wanted to share that with you because it wasn't like a moment during drinking that was impacted for me. It was the moment, this big moment that I'm going to be on TV for the first time in Colorado. And I was being mindful of not drinking a lot like that day before. And I forgot what I was going to say. And it is something that I talk about all the time. So not only was it embarrassing, but it did a number on my confidence. So this year, in February, I've gotten the nudge over and over again, like, okay, Carmen, you want all of these upgrades in your life. And so like, why don't you just stop drinking? But I kind of ignore it and push it down. It's not like I drink every day, but I live in Miami Beach. And it's kind of fun to go. And I love mimosas and Bloody Marys and, all the things, a good like tequila soda. But it's like, I've been asking and praying and like declaring for my life these different things that I want to do and I want to achieve or bring into my life around my health, my relationships, my business, and my giving. And, God really told me, like, everything that you want, I have it for you, but it's on the other side of alcohol, like super clear. And so I was like, oh, okay, well, let's just see what that is. And so that was my why this year. And I don't even like to say like sober, like when I've been posting all of the information to have you guys join, everybody's like, oh, congratulations on being sober. Congratulations on being sober. And I was just like, I don't know why that feels weird to me. Like I'm just choosing to get curious on how alcohol affects me in my life. And I want you guys to all take that on and really figure out like, what is your why? What is your why for joining? So I know that I want to have more clarity in my life. So I know that my intuition, my knowing, my connection to God, source, whatever you believe in, is very lacking when I'm drinking. I am not creative. Like I can't write good content. I started writing a book, just writing stories. And if I drink, like there's nothing coming out, so creativity is down. I'm less likely to focus on my deepest priorities, which are my relationships and my business and giving. And I'm more likely to focus on the things like an old like lack scarcity mindset. There's never going to be enough, or my body image, or things like that are really ego and fear based. And so I want you to really start thinking about what your why is. And if you have a pen and paper right now, like I'm just going to give you a few minutes, because this is really important to figure out what your why is. But if you started the book, I'm going to read you what I wrote when I did this book. When did I do this book? I can't remember. Maybe it was last year or the year before. I think last year, actually. So she asked you to get excited and to write to your future self. So what I wrote was, just to give you a little idea, and I'll give you some time to write your why. I get to choose. So what do I choose? I choose me. I choose being one with God. I choose to be present and free within my body. I choose deep, intentional relationships that I remember. I choose optimal health. I choose to live what I teach. I choose abundance. I choose energy and healing. I choose deep knowing and a connection to source. I choose me over and over and over again. After 30 days, I'll be even more connected to myself, my gifts, my purpose, and my faith. I'll not experience inflammation, and my hormones will be in sync, and I'll lose 7 pounds. I was really going for it here. 7 pounds, that was a lot. My relationship with my own sensuality will be blossoming, and a new heightened lovemaking with Joel will begin. I will have time to work, study, work out, and still get plenty of rest and more. So often throughout our day, we might start our day really joyfully and mindfully and intentional. And then we just get going in our day and we just forget how simply we can tap into our breath to come back into this state. It's like we're programmed our nervous system to be activated all the time. And so we have like glimmers or moments where it feels good and we can feel like that peace in our body and feel connected actually to ourselves. And then we just allow ourselves to get knocked out of it. And so the more we can stay in that state and stay aligned with our highest self, with our body, in flow and out of our mind, then the more we're going to stay out of that subconscious patterning that Annie talks about in the book. The more we're rushing, the more we're in a chaotic state, the more we're going to get up in our brain. And so what's going to happen is it's going to be harder for us to know when those subconscious programming is coming in because we're not aware of what's happening. We're not present in the moment. And what happens often is this happens because we become so attached to things, to people, to places, to routines. Like, have you ever driven somewhere and then you're driving and then all of a sudden you're like, oh, I didn't want to go here, but it was like such a routine that you weren't even thinking. I used to always start driving to work. Like, what the fuck? It's Sunday. I'm not even going to work today. Like, why am I over here? And it's just because I was so far out of just my highest alignment. What was I even doing? I was probably thinking about like the 4,000 things that I needed to do. And then when things like that happen, then what do? We go into judgment of ourselves. Okay, I have to tell you, I started Apple TV. I don't know if you guys have Apple TV at all, but if you don't, like, you get a 3-month subscription for free because I wanted to finish watching The Morning Show. But today, when I was doing some cardio, it was like a storm this morning. I was watching this show called Physical. Oh my gosh, I had to turn it off because I got so physically sick to my stomach because it says out loud what the woman is thinking. And oh my gosh, her thoughts were off the chain nasty to herself, specifically around her body and specifically around food because she had an eating disorder. But it made me really sick to my stomach and also grateful, like, okay, that's why it's so important to stay out of your head and in your body and in your highest alignment and intentional. Because oftentimes, and someone had said in this group a while back, they said, well, Carmen, I don't really have the problem of doing too much. Maybe it's doing too little and I just feel too much. And we started talking about it a little bit after. And what we uncovered was that it wasn't necessarily she was feeling too much, but she was having these same thought patterns over and over and over again. And so then she was building beliefs in these negative thought patterns. And a belief is really just a thought that you keep thinking. And so I invite you to feel your feelings, but recognize when it's one of those negative thought patterns versus an actual feeling or emotion that's coming up. Because that feeling and emotion, that's really going to last less than 90 seconds. What happens after that is the judgment and the thought that we have after that. So going back to this idea of we all want to be safe, seen, soothed, and secure. And so what makes us feel safe? What makes us feel seen? What makes us feel soothed? And when I first heard this, I was like, soothe is something I really need. And I was like, you know what? Something that makes me feel soothed as an adult is I'll tell Joel all the time. I was like, I just want to these are the words that I use. I just want to snuggle in and will you just tell me about something? So I want to get into his armpit space right here and lay down with him. And I want him to just talk to me. I don't want to talk at all. And it sounds so silly, but that's soothing. And so you think of soothing a baby, right? And so safe, seen, soothed, and secure. And we're always seeking for this. And something that I've been working with in my life, and I wanted to share a little story with you guys, is my need to be seen and my need to be recognized. So I joined a mastermind this year, and this is something that they've really challenged me with, in that, am I doing things because they feel good, or am I doing things because they look good? Interesting question, right? So am I actually doing it in alignment with my highest self and my highest calling? Or am I doing it because I want to get accolades? And when I get recognized and when I get accolades, guess what? It makes me feel seen. And when I'm seen, then I feel safe and secure. And I was like, oh, when I just said this out loud and told you guys, I was like, oh my gosh. So I was like, where does this come from? I mean, I know that I always had an issue of overworking and wanting to achieve in order to get acknowledgement. And that's how I sourced my self-worth for a long time. But I felt like I had really worked through that. And something just popped into my mind. And I was like, oh my gosh, so my parents are divorced. And my mom has this fake positive narrative. You can do anything, but it almost goes in one ear and out the other ear because it's almost a little bit fake-ish, right? She can put on the show. She used to act at the Civic Theater and stuff like that. So in one ear and out the other ear. And then my dad, I always kind of put him up on a pedestal. He had so much potential and still does. And he's just so humble and just always, I know that if I ask him for something, he will always be there. But I started thinking about my dad's not really ever said the words I am so proud of you. Good job. I am 41 years old. Is that interesting? And so I started thinking about it, and I started thinking about his parents. And my grandparents are the most amazing. My grandfather passed away a couple years ago, but my grandma's still alive, and they are the most amazing, non-judgmental people you've ever met in your life. But I don't know that they told him they're proud of him and good job. So he didn't learn that. It's not his fault. So I'm really excited to have this conversation with him and be like, hey, Dad, do you ever remember grandma and grandpa like telling you good job and they're proud of you? And I asked my brother, and my brother said, you know what? The only time Dad said he was proud of me, I can't remember any growing up, but when my brother went through a hard time, he actually went to jail. And when I got out of jail and I did my first bodybuilding show, and he told me that he was really proud of me for turning his life around. I was like, that's so awesome. I love that. So why am I telling you all of this is because we all have our own ways to protect ourselves, to make sure that we feel safe, seen, soothed, and secure. Because we all want to be a part of something. And oftentimes what happens is we don't find it. We don't look hard enough inside of ourselves. And we're not with ourselves enough because we put something in place to get those feelings, or we're looking outside of ourselves. And so we've learned to become attached to certain things to fill that void because we're not doing it for ourselves. And so alcohol can be one of those things. Food could be one of those things. Overworking can be one of those things. Just staying in a constant state of action with your nervous system chronically activated can be one of those things. And it's challenging to recognize where your attachments are. So we just moved into a new condo, and by the way, I love it. In our old condo, I didn't realize this while we were moving until we got to the new condo, but my desk in my office space was a built-in desk and built-in like shelving and stuff that was really nice. But what does that mean when I move? I don't have any place to organize my work stuff that I was saving and holding on to. And so it's like Joel has a walk-in closet. I have one. And so it's like in this shelving, but I can't really access it easily. And for the whole week, I haven't had Wi-Fi and my hotspot hasn't worked. So I'd have to use this community room that I'm in right now, which is wonderful and fine. But I was thinking about it and I was like, I wonder if this is a lesson in attachment of things. I feel like I need to have all of these things for my business, but do I really? And is the answer just inside of me? And so it's often in the moments where we have challenge and adversity that we can ask for our minds to be renewed and to see things through a new, fresh set of eyes, just like I talked about. And we can see where our attachments are. Because realistically, I believe that our attachments are one of the biggest things that are holding us back. And sometimes the attachments are actually, quote unquote, healthy things that we are just doing, but maybe we're not even really present in the moment, or it no longer is serving us. And so I wanted you to challenge your thinking on that. And I have 3 things I wanted to challenge you with that if you didn't get to this page, it's page 309 and 308 in the book, and do the journaling questions. So page 309 and 308. Not sure why I'm saying those backwards. Okay, yeah, go grab yours. Give Carrie just a sec. Hey, Danielle. I was just given a little chit chat about subconscious mind and attachments and the things that we're attached to, and how those are our biggest things that are holding us back. So I was referencing the book, page 308 and 309. If you did not get to that or have an opportunity to look at those pages, these are the pages that can really help you look at maybe what your attachments are and what you want to build in the future to not go back to the old subconscious programming. Because what can happen very easily is we can get done with this challenge and then we can just start life again. And because it's not top of mind and we're not being mindful of it every day, it's really easy to drink one time and then to kind of fall back into those same patterns and not really notice until it gets to where we're feeling like crap, right? And so attachments are the biggest thing. So page 308, I love this question. I was like, oh, I should have put this in my journal. How do I live my happiest, best life? Instead of having the questions, so now do I stop drinking completely? Do you see what the difference there? Like, how do I live my happiest, best life? Because I'll tell you what, I've gone through periods of not drinking for multiple times, like years or months or whatever. And it's almost like you're just like chasing something with alcohol, just like they always talk about with like any drug, it's never like the same high or whatever. And it's just not ever the same. It's not ever as rewarding as what you used to think it is. Again, it's not saying that I'm never not drinking, because I might, but how do I live my happiest and best life? And focusing on that, I think, is just really huge. And then on page 309, it was take a few minutes to imagine yourself in 5 or 10 years. And so something I really like to do is to imagine yourself in 1 year, in 5 years, and in 10 years, or even 20. So I did this recently, and I was on it on the 1 year. In the 10 year, 5 was like it was like I couldn't figure it out, because it was almost like, okay, well, all my shit in the 1 year and these like close manifestations really had to come to fruition to make 5 years as amazing as I'm going to write it. And that was scary for me. So I encourage you to do that. But as it relates to what I was talking about with our nervous system just being chronically activated all of the time. And, we have glimpses and periods throughout our day, through our morning ritual or whatever, that we are aligned. But if we're allowing ourselves to just get so far knocked out of alignment, that's when we're not going to notice the old subconscious programming coming in and fall back into our own old ways. So the 3 tips that I have for you: every single day, have white space. So what does white space mean? It means time blocked off where you have no to-do list on your calendar. And even if it is a work day, still have time. And I'm hesitant to give an amount of time. I would say at least an hour, but it's going to be whatever feels good to you. And don't allow yourself to run over the time. Because what would it be like if you actually didn't eat your big ass salad lunch at the computer every day? By the way, that example from my life. The other thing is to embrace silence. So Danielle, before you joined, I was sharing that we just moved into a new condo, and the first week has been full of challenges with me. No Wi-Fi, no hotspot. So we don't have TV or anything. And I found myself always turning on music or a podcast. And I was like, no, I'm going to be in silence. Because again, it's just like chronically activating your nervous system. Why do I always have to be consuming something? And so that's the third thing I have for you. What is your consumption like? Because when you're in a chronic state of consumption, not just alcohol, not just food, not just beverages, but it could be, again, like I mentioned earlier, healthy things, listening to personal development podcasts, reading personal development books, doing things to help you grow. Well, too much can be too much. Another example from the mastermind that I joined this year was I got so excited about creating all these SOPs and switching the system that we use for like our organizational and like, like tasking things to team members and stuff like that. And on Monday, we had a meeting and we're reviewing ClickUp, which is a tool. And I looked and I was like, this is just too fucking complicated for us. I like simple things. Like, let's go back to what we're using right now, which is Airtable. And let's look and see if it has some of the features that we're not using right now and see if we could just add that and make it better and make it simple. Because what was happening was I had consumption of things coming in. Other successful people are doing this. I need to do this. And it creates all this like go, chaotic energy. And then I wasn't listening to how constricting that felt. And it was so constricting that I was just like, I don't even want to look at this. Like, I don't even want to dive into it. Like weeks now. It's been like a month. I'm supposed to be working on this project. And instead of being like, the thought was, I'm too busy, like I have all these other things going on. But really what I needed to do was sit with myself and listen to my intuition and understand that like, this is not what we need. I like simple, and this is not simple. And so we can, while that's a business analogy, you can relate that to so many different things. If you're asking for advice or what you should do or what the best XYZ is, often we know, but we can't hear it because we don't have silence and we're consuming too much. And there's no white space. Because wouldn't it be fun if you had white space in your day and you could just do whatever the fuck you wanted in the moment? You just asked yourself, how do I feel right now? What do I need? And then you just gave yourself whatever the answer was in that very moment. But oftentimes it's like we're always on to the next thing. So your subconscious mind will always take over when you're out of your body, out of alignment, and all up in your thoughts and trying to control everything.